Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Krupa. I'm a dietitian with Employee Wellness, and today we'll be talking about grocery shopping made easy. So this is the third session in the Nourish Life program. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So let's just jump right in. So we'll look at the market trends, and now more than ever, families are concerned about the rising cost of food. It's no wonder that people are looking for different ways to save money, especially when grocery shopping. So Americans usually spend about $120 a week on grocery shopping. And it takes us an average of 41 minutes per trip. And then on the weekends, it takes us additional about 7 minutes per trip as well. According to the US grocery survey in 2022, reports found that 54.3% of US adults had purchased groceries online in the past 12 months, which is well above the 37% that were doing so pre-pandemic in 2019. So today we'll kind of talk about some key tips, which we'll talk about planning ahead, shopping wisely, cooking from scratch, growing our own, and then reading food labels. So starting with a plan. So we definitely want to think about our meals and what we want to prepare for the week before we go to the grocery store. So meals such as stews, casseroles, stir fries are considered more economical. Taking inventory of the food that we already have on hand and then making lists of what is needed. So definitely trying to pre-going grocery shopping, like pre-shop in your refrigerator, your freezer, and even your pantry to see what you have on hand. And see if you can use like the same ingredients in multiple dishes. For example, if you try to put like chicken and broccoli on your shopping list, maybe throughout the week, you can use them in stir fry, you can make pasta, casserole, or even a chicken pot pie. Keeping a list of food items or supplies that are running low, especially like your staple pantry items, like canned beans, pasta, rice, peanut butter, things like that, so you can buy them when they're on sale. And then here are some tips to shop wisely. So plan on going to the store when you have time to shop. So avoid shopping when you are hungry, tired, or even irritable. Also, if possible, try to shop alone, especially without your children. Stick to your shopping list to save more money. However, like we talked about, if a staple item is on sale, definitely take advantage of the lower cost if you know you're going to use it up. Know the regular prices of the items you generally buy. So trying to keep like a food journal so you know if it's really on sale or bargain. And then looking at store ads and see what's on sale when you're trying to plan for the week and making your grocery list. When using coupons, use those for food items you would normally buy, and only if it's cheaper than the store brand and if it's not available. So sometimes BOGO may not always be cheaper. So for example, if canned beans were on sale like 10 for $10 that are branded, and the store brand is normally like 80 cents, then the store brand is going to be cheaper than even the 10 for 10 deal as well. And then compare prices between local stores, specialty stores, and even farmers market. And then try to look at the unit price. Sometimes buying larger package items only if the unit price is cheaper and you're sure that you're going to use it all before it spoils or expires and you have room to even store it. So plan meals based on seasonal fruits and vegetables, and when they're not in season, considered like dry, canned, or frozen alternatives. And usually look in the eye level is usually high profit items. So store brands may be above or below. Unit pricing. So unit price is found by dividing the shelf price by the weight or the volume of the item. Unit pricing can also help you decide what brand to buy. Store brands often cost less than well-known brands. So for example, yogurt A has a retail value of 72 cents and has 6 ounces per container. So the unit price for this would be 12 cents per ounce. And for option B, the retail value is $1.62 and has 32 ounces per container. So the unit price for this is 0.5 cents per ounce. So if you're going to use all that yogurt, then option B would also be a lot cheaper to buy. And then looking in at what is in season, right? So Fresh from Florida is a website that kind of tells you what is in season. So this is for October and November, and this is used for the Florida growing season, right? So not everything you buy in grocery stores is locally sourced from Florida. So that's why you get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. But these are mostly what's going to be tasting best in season and probably more cost efficient as well, like these fruits and vegetables. Also, if you go to Fresh from Florida, like the website, and you click on any of these fruits and vegetables, they will take you to a link that'll have recipes. So it will kind of give you more variety on what you can use these fruits and vegetables for, especially the ones that are rare and that you don't know what to do with. Like, for example, guava or passion fruit or something like that that you don't normally see or use. And then here are a list of like some of the local farmers market that are around town. So closest to the Jacksonville location, like downtown campus, we have the Jacksonville Farmers Market that is on Beaver Street, and that's open dawn to dusk every single day. So maybe you can even, if it's on your way home, stop there on your way home or something like that. Riverside's Arts Market is open every Saturday, which is really close to here as well. And then some on the beaches side, which is the Beaches Green Market, which is open every Saturday. And the Beach Boulevard Flea Market also has a little farmers market side to it, and that's open every day. And on like the Arlington side of Jacksonville, there's the Valdez Farmers Market that is also open every single day. So even checking out these farmers markets to get like a better deal for fruits and vegetables, especially that are locally grown in Florida or Jacksonville and what are in season. So they might be a little bit cheaper. And then cooking from scratch. So trying to buy like whole fruits and vegetables and trying to avoid buying like ready to eat, prepackaged, or even pre-cut foods is definitely going to save you a little bit of money. And try to keep it a little bit simple, right? Healthy and creative meals don't always have to be complicated. A simpler menu will usually cost less money and will be easier to prepare in the end. So building a healthy and balanced meal, excuse me, look at the plate picture on the slide. So trying to make half your plate like fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables, and then having them non-starchy vegetables like bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens are considered non-starchy vegetables. Trying to do more healthy lean protein like chicken and fish, turkey, or even some plant-based protein like tofu or beans. And trying to do more whole grains, or at least try to make half your grains whole. So trying to use brown rice, oatmeal, quinoa, whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat crackers, things like that will definitely help. You can even try to stretch your recipes by adding other ingredients and to get more servings out of your favorite recipes. Like maybe try adding the rice to soups or stews, or frozen vegetables to your favorite pasta dish, or even like beans, like black beans to your burgers to serve more meals. And you can double the recipe and even freeze it for whatever you have left over for a quick meal when you're in a bind or a pinch. And try to avoid throwing leftover food out and use it in new ways. So like if you have roast turkey, maybe you can try making turkey soup. Or if you have chicken left over, you can make tacos the next day. Or even veggies, you can try to do like a breakfast hash or something like that the next day, or use it on the weekend. So try to plan to use leftovers within the next like 2 to 3 days, max 4. And then avoiding food waste. So a lot of food is basically waste from like spoilage, over preparation, and even label date confusion, right? So if we prepare too much food and we're not going to eat it all, that could be thrown away. Or if we buy a lot of food and then especially fruits and vegetables, and then they sit in the fridge and then we don't end up using it. Or if we didn't plan properly, right, on how to use our leftovers or choosing the right ingredients. And if we buy so many fruits and vegetables versus condensing them that we can use in multiple recipes. And then label date confusion. So most of the food quality, the manufacturer comes up with these dates. Label date terms are not regulated except for baby formula. So, and are also not required. So sell by is the date that tells the store how long to keep the item on their shelves. Best by refers to when the quality of the item starts to decrease. So you may notice a difference in taste, but it still would be safe to eat. And then use by date is very similar as well. And it's usually when the use by date is when the product loses its peak quality. So it'd still be safe to eat as well. And when in doubt, you can kind of use your senses, right? Look at it, smell it, look for mold. Especially when you're looking out for like deli items and dairy items, try to be very mindful of these dates as well. So what category of foods do you end up throwing out the most? So if most of us would say it's produce, you're basically not alone. The average household ends up throwing out 22% of fresh fruits and vegetables they buy. So most often, sometimes we don't store it properly. That could also be the cause, right? So most fruits ripen best at room temperature. Once ripe, store fruits in the refrigerator in a plastic bag according to their time chart. So you can find these time charts on like the USDA website. Especially berries, cherries, grapes, and figs need to be refrigerated immediately. For vegetables, remove or loosen the tightly bands and store in a plastic bag. Separate root vegetables like radishes, beets, and turnips from the greens and store each of them separately in a separate plastic bag. Most greens from the root vegetables will stay fresh for about only 3 days. So you definitely want to try to use those up first. In general, try to avoid washing fruits and vegetables until ready to eat. However, if a bowl of already clean lettuce in the fridge helps you use it more quickly, then do what works best for you. Once washed, dry thoroughly and store in an airtight container lined with paper towels. Some fruits and vegetables also emit ethylene gas as they ripen, which hastens the ripening of certain other produce items. In good practices to store the ethylene emitters away from everything else. And some of these fruits and vegetables are like apples, avocados, cantaloupes, bananas, peaches, and tomatoes as well. And then growing your own fruits and vegetables. Food grown at home is less likely to go to waste because it can easily be picked, fresh, and consumed immediately, especially like fruits and vegetables and herbs. And most of these are, when we buy them outdoors, they're usually packaged in plastic, which are non-recyclable. So many fruits and veggies and herbs can be easily grown near any home, and keeping the plastic out of our landfills and even eventually out of our drinking water. So growing our own food also encourages us to eat more fruits and vegetables, reduce your pesticide intake, and even engages a healthy relationship with our food. And if you don't have a large plot of land, which most of us don't, then plant items like tomatoes or strawberries in pots in our patio, or grow herbs in a flower pot near a windshield. So you don't necessarily need a big yard, just some containers and a sunny window and a little bit of soil. So in the next section, we'll be talking about reading food labels. So we'll first talk about serving sizes, right? So the amount of servings may be more or less than the serving size that's recommended in your individual meal plans, in addition to the household serving size measurement. The weight of the serving is expressed in grams or milliliters for beverages within the parentheses. So for example, if a salad dressing, the label might state like 2 servings. A serving size is 2 tablespoons, which is 30 grams. So in this, for example, this picture says there's 13 servings per container and 6 serving sizes per cracker, which is 30 grams. So remember that portion sizes have changed and may not match what is recommended, but what we typically eat. So currently, if the serving size is what can be consumed as 1 serving or at one time. So if you eat double or triple the serving listed, you're getting double or triple the amount of everything that's listed on the nutrition food label. And if you eat only half of the serving size, then you could divide everything in half. So for example, if you eat 12 crackers versus just the 6, you would have to multiply everything by 2. And if you eat 3, you divide everything in half. Calories and fat. Calories per serving is the amount of calories in 1 serving. So you can also see how many calories are in the total calorie comes from fat. Each gram of fat contains about 1 serving contributes to 9 calories per each gram of fat. And for the protein, it contains 4 calories per each gram. And for carbs, it's also 4 calories per 1 gram of carb. The total is already calculated for us in the calorie line. Fat per serving tells you the amount that is total per fat per serving. The amount of fat is expressed in grams. So for heart health, choose foods that are lower in saturated and trans fat. In replacing those foods that contain trans fat with foods that contain unsaturated fat will help lower our cholesterols. You will notice that the unsaturated fat is not listed. This does not mean that the food product does not have any unsaturated fat, but it's just not required to be on the label. So let's talk more about the different types of fats. So saturated fat, which is prominently found in dairy products and animal products, right? So like butter, cheese, cream, and other animal sources like beef and pork. And even some plant oils like coconut and palm oil are also rich in saturated fat. And then monounsaturated fat, which is somewhat of a good fat, is found in olive oil, avocados, and nuts. And polyunsaturated fat is also good, which is found in nuts and seeds, fatty fishes, and vegetable oils such as soybean, corn, and sunflower oil. Trans fat, which is the worst kind of fat, is found in vegetable shortening, such as Crisco, or margarine, or mass-produced processed foods like cookies, crackers, cakes. And these are chemically modified fats that come in vegetable oil and should be avoided as much as possible. So it's like a liquid oil that they add hydrogen to it to make it more shelf stable. So according to the labeling laws in the US, if a food contains less than 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, the label can say 0 grams of fat, trans fat. So be sure you're reading the list of ingredients just to make sure your foods have trans fat or they don't have trans fat. So in the ingredients list, if you spot words like hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils, these are considered trans fat. So even though it may say 0 grams on the label, your food may still contain them. Cholesterol, potassium, and sodium. So cholesterol is listed 1 per serving. So choose foods lower in cholesterol. So the recommendation is to keep dietary cholesterol under 300 milligrams per day. For sodium, if you're trying to reduce sodium or salt intake, choose foods that have less than 480 milligrams of sodium per serving. And if it's a meal, then choose less than 600 milligrams of sodium. Potassium is not required to be listed unless a claim is being made by the manufacturer, or if they voluntarily provide this information on the label. Potassium is an important element found naturally in many foods. Most people don't get enough potassium in their diets. So what is recommended is about 4.7 grams per day. It is considered an adequate intake of potassium. Potassium can help people maintain more of a normal blood pressure and can also help prevent kidney stones and reduce the risk of bone loss as well. Carbohydrates. So carbohydrates provides calories and or energy for our body. Each gram of carbohydrates provides 4 calories. The human body breaks down carbohydrates into glucose. Glucose is in the blood is often referred to blood sugar, is a primary energy source for our body cells, tissues, and organs such as brains and muscles. Glucose can be used immediately or stored in the liver and muscle for later use. In this section of the nutrition facts labels, there is a line for dietary fiber and sugar. Both are types of carbs. The added sugar, along with the percent daily value, is now included per the 2015 dietary guidelines. And it also recommends no more than 10% of our total calories should come from added sugars. So just because there's no sugar in a food product, that does not mean there is no carbohydrates in it. Sugar alcohols contain carbohydrates, but since they do not add to the sugar content of the product can be still listed as sugar-free. When sugar is removed from the product, other nutrients like fat may be added for the texture and the flavor consistency. Protein. Most people consume adequate amounts of protein in their diets. When choosing protein, choose those that we are lean, low fat, and fat-free, for especially our heart health and even calorie management as well. And then you will notice that the total unit of the required or the allowed nutrient included on the label are changed to vitamin D and other minerals such as potassium, calcium, and iron. They could change from label to label. Nutrients in one serving is not listed, but their percent daily value is listed. Choose foods with the highest percent daily value listed when comparing to similar products. The goal is to get 100% of each nutrient per their daily value per day. And then percent daily value is a section of the nutrient label that appears at the bottom. For each nutrient on the label, there's also a percentage shown on the far right side of the label. According to the FDA, the percent daily value is a general guide to help you link nutrients of servings of food contributed to your daily diet. The percent of your daily value is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Your calorie needs may be more or less than 2,000 calories per day. To see if the food is high or low in a nutrient, you can quickly glance at the daily percent value. Look at the percent daily value, and if it's 5% or less is in the nutrient, which is low for that nutrient. And if it's 20% or more, it's high in that nutrient. So for example, according to this food label, this would be low in fat, and then it's average for everything else. It's not necessarily high for anything. And then the ingredients list are just below or to the side of the nutrition facts label. Ingredients are listed by weight in order of quantity, from the largest ingredient to the smallest ingredient. So in this picture, tomatoes would be the largest ingredient in the food, and then natural flavoring would be the least. And we can also see this has partially hydrogenated soybean oil, so it does contain trans fat as well. So grocery shopping doesn't have to be hard. When we have a solid plan and maybe even a solo trip with few strategic choices, grocery shopping can be made easy. Any questions? So while the questions, if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat or unmute yourself. These are the references. And thank you for today's talk. You can scan the points here to get points for today's talk for your wellness credit. And I'll also put the link in the chat as well.